There are rooms whose existence even shadows deny. Rooms where walls have absorbed more than blood. They have absorbed silence. A silence that is louder than any scream. Look closely. This is no mere door. This is a mausoleum for the living. A tomb for the truth, sealed not with stone, but with a dread so profound it twists the very air around it. Dark wood, heavy bronze, a fortress against discovery, and carved into its face, ancient, tarnished symbols. Runes etched deep, meant to bind not just wood to frame, but secrets to eternal slumber. A spell woven in bronze, a ward against the piercing gaze of history itself. What unspeakable acts, what desperate pleas have these barriers witnessed? This silence, it is not the absence of sound, but the presence of unspeakable acts, compressed, solidified. It is the suffocating weight of 1,000 untold stories, each a drop of poison seeping into the bloodline of an empire. The faint, distant echo you hear, a mere breath, a rustle of silk, is it a memory or a lingering essence of those caught in the merciless game of betrayal? A queen, perhaps, her ambition shattered. A concubine, her future stolen. A child denied a dynasty. Every crack in the wood, every faded line in the bronze holds a memory of ambition, of love turned to ash, of a life extinguished before its time. No one speaks of this place. No one dares. For what lies beyond this threshold is not just a chamber, but a gaping wound in the very fabric of the Sultan's power. A testament to the ruthless price of absolute rule. This is where the light disappeared, not with a flicker, but with a deliberate, chilling finality. A forbidden space, sealed by the Sultan's own shadow, meant to protect not his person, but the illusion of his divine righteousness. For what could be more damning to a ruler, to a dynasty, than the silent testament of his darkest crimes? And the walls? They remember. Oh, how they remember. Every whispered command, every desperate tear, every chilling silence that sealed a fate, binding them to an oath never to reveal the truth. The very air within these walls, it thickens, does it not? A silken weight that presses down, urging every breath to be slow, deliberate. We leave behind the clamor of the courts, the endless whispers of ambition, and descend deeper into the labyrinthine heart of this empire. The corridors here, they twist like ancient veins, lit by lamps whose flickering flames cast shadows long enough to swallow a man whole. Velvet drapes, heavy with forgotten secrets, absorb all sound, leaving only the echo of your own pulse. Guards, motionless as statues carved from darkness, line the path, their gazes lowered, lest a stray spark of curiosity ignite their doom. This is where the Sultan retreats, not merely from the world, but from the demands of his own daylight self. Look closer. These palace walls are not merely stone and mortar, are they? No, they are a living, breathing creature, vast and ancient. Its lungs, my dear, are the ceaseless intrigues that fill its gilded chambers. Its blood, a crimson river of ambition, flows through every artery and vein of this dynasty. And within this formidable being, there beats a heart, pulsing in the deepest, most concealed corners. A heart that demands tribute, often paid in silence, often in blood. To stand at the summit of this world, it seems an ascent of unparalleled glory, does it not? The highest peak, kissed by the sun. Yet, what an illusion that is! Here, one does not merely climb, one balances on a precipice as narrow as a sword's edge. A single misstep, a word too bold, a glance held too long, a breath taken out of turn, and the dizzying height becomes a dizzying fall. Down, down into the abyss, where forgotten souls mingle with shattered dreams. The very air you breathe, once a symbol of your ascendancy, becomes the instrument of your suffocation. Such is the brutal mathematics of this court. Observe her now. A concubine, exquisite in her silk finery, her youth a fragile bloom amidst these predatory gardens. Her eyes, pools of liquid night, reflect a constellation of both desperate hope and an unspoken terror. She stands before the Sultan, a vision of carefully curated grace. A servant approaches, bearing a chalice, exquisite, ornate, shimmering with the cool promise of relief. Within it, sherbet, crimson as a winter sunset, its sweetness a deceptive invitation. She reaches for it, her fingers trembling ever so slightly. Do you see it? Every sweet gulp she takes is a gamble. For behind that delicate, refreshing taste, there lurks the chilling potential of poison. Every favor bestowed, every whispered compliment from the Sultan's lips, every glimmer of warmth in his enigmatic gaze, it is not merely a blessing, it is a verdict. A sentence that hangs, suspended and unseen, until the moment it is delivered. Such is the ruthless elegance of power. And here, in these profound shadows, life and death are served on the same silver tray with equal indifference. Here, beyond the gilded lattice, the air thickens, does it not? The very marble seems to hum with a faster pulse, a tremor of unspoken intent. For if the Sultan's will shapes the world, it is often in these shadowed chambers that the threads of his dynasty are spun, or, more often, brutally severed. You see them, poised like magnificent, fragile birds, each woman in this labyrinth a silken thread in the hands of fate, or the Sultan. A thread destined to be woven into the tapestry of power, or snapped, discarded, into oblivion. This is the crucible, the merciless game of queens. No grand battles fought on sun-scorched plains, but a war waged with glances, with whispered words, with the very breath held in anticipation. Their weapons? Not steel, but cunning, patience, and the potent currency of a son's future. For them, every rising sun is a gamble, every fleeting smile a mask, every alliance a precarious dance on a precipice. The stakes? Not merely their own lives, but the very bloodline, the survival of their princes, and with them, the entire dynasty. Consider a whisper of silk against marble, a breath held too long. A scarf, once cherished, perhaps a token of favor, slips from a hand, landing like a fallen star. But here, nothing is accidental. That fallen silk, vibrant as a sunset, could be a sign of disgrace, a prelude to banishment, or worse, a silent pronouncement of a death sentence. The eyes that witness it betray nothing, yet the message is understood. Dishonor, swift and absolute, awaits. Or perhaps it is the faint, almost imperceptible, of wax, sharper than any blade. A scroll, meant for the Sultan's eyes alone, now bears a broken seal. A secret message, compromised. A betrayal, unearthed. And in that instant, a life, perhaps many, hangs suspended. This isn't a tale of good against evil, but of survival. It is the raw, unflinching choice that molds a mother into a monster or condemns her to be a victim. There is no middle ground in these walls, only the relentless pursuit of advantage, fueled by the desperate love for a child. Each decision is weighed with the potential for poison in a cup, a dagger in the shadow, a lifetime of silence for those who fail. Every word, every glance, every tremor of a hand carries the weight of blood. And those consequences, unseen by the world, are what necessitate the deepest, darkest secrets of the palace. Step closer now. Do you feel the chill that clings to the very air within these walls? For centuries, this chamber has breathed only silence. A silence so profound it hums with the echoes of unwhispered truths, the dust of forgotten deeds. Do not mistake this place for a mere repository of secrets. No, my friends. This was the dark heart of the dynasty, where necessity wore the guise of horror and survival demanded the unthinkable. Here, the air is thick, not with incense, but with the ghost of bygone breaths, the metallic tang of old blood, the faint, sweet decay of time itself. Every shadow holds a story, every speck of dust a testament to choices made in the deepest watches of the night. This room did not merely hold secrets, it witnessed crimes. Crimes born of the cold, ruthless logic of the throne. Deeds deemed vital for the unbroken sanctity of the bloodline, for the very pulse of an empire that stretched from sun-scorched deserts to snow-capped peaks. Can you hear it? The ghostly rustle of silk? Within these very walls, the fate of powerful viziers, men who shaped nations with their words, was sealed. Not with open defiance, but with a quiet draft, a sudden fever, a whisper of betrayal that extinguished their flame before it could truly burn. Here, too, the vibrant, dangerous branches of the royal tree, those deemed too ambitious, too close to the sun, were methodically, chillingly severed. A dynasty, like any grand tree, demands relentless pruning to survive. And then, the most profound silence of all. The stifled cries of infants, born innocent, yet burdened by the very accident of their birth. Potential rivals, their existence a tremor beneath the Sultan's throne, were cradled, then stilled beneath the softest of silken pillows. A cruel mercy, perhaps, a swift end to a life that would otherwise have been a perpetual threat, a pawn in the ruthless game of queens played out in the harem's gilded cage. These acts, you see, were not the impulsive rage of a tyrant. No, they were the cold, calculated necessities of statecraft, executed by the chosen few, the keepers of silence. Men, and sometimes women, whose loyalty was absolute, whose hands were steady, whose hearts were shielded from the ordinary pangs of conscience. They moved like shadows within shadows, their methods as subtle as poison in a rose petal, as swift as a garrote of finest silk. Their work was precise, surgical. It had to be. For the Sultan, for the dynasty, these were not common murders. They were sacred duties wrapped in the cloak of night, hidden beneath the grand illusion of imperial stability. No one outside these walls was ever to know, and more importantly, no one was ever to truly understand. For how could the common man grasp the monumental weight of a crown that demanded such sacrifice? How could they reconcile morality with the desperate struggle for the empire's very survival? Here, in this secret heart of power, morality was a distant echo, drowned out by the thunderous imperative of the bloodline. And so, the dust settles, the silence endures, and the crimes remain, forever woven into the very fabric of this magnificent, ruthless empire.
Мы снова стоим здесь, у этой дор.
Look closer now. It does not merely stand, it looms. What once seemed a simple passage now breathes with the weight of centuries. A silent sentinel guarding not just rooms, but the very soul of a dynasty. This chamber, my friends, was never just a place for dark deeds. It was a mirror. A polished obsidian mirror reflecting the eternal, brutal price of the throne. The Sultan, magnificent in his robes, commander of armies, was he truly free? Or was he, too, a slave? A slave to the whispers of his ancestors, to the relentless demands of his bloodline, to the insatiable hunger of the dynasty. He was a slave to the very shadow he cast, a shadow that demanded sacrifice, that condoned betrayal cloaked in silk, that justified poison slipped into chalices. He was a slave to his own ambition, to the fierce, unyielding self that told him the empire was his and no cost was too great to preserve it. How far, tell me, would you go to keep what you believe is rightfully yours? What lines would you cross? What silence would you embrace? The man who sits upon that throne, bathed in the false light of divine right, slowly, irrevocably, becomes a shadow himself. His humanity, piece by piece, chipped away by the stones of the palace, by the hushed agreements, by the chilling necessity of power. These secrets, these crimes, this profound, suffocating silence, they are not merely episodes of history. They are forever woven into the very fabric of this empire, into its crimson bloodline, into every cold, unforgiving stone of this palace. And even today, if you listen closely, if you dare to truly listen, You can hear their faint, mournful echoing in the deepest shadows, a testament to the eternal, terrifying price of the crown.